instantly improve your life. That is what we're going to go over in this video with 3 psychological methods that you can change your thinking in just a moment. And then from there, when your thinking changes, you will find yourself on a much better path. So let's get into it. Number 1 is make longer term commitments. Think in longer time scales. So for example, if you want to go out and change a behavior or a pattern or to achieve a specific goal, most people, we do something where we set short-term time limits. Like I will do this for a month. I will do this for 2 weeks. I will do this for a week. And what happens is that we've set this quick reward expectation when in reality, if something is worthwhile and worth doing, so for example, like working out on a regular basis or making progress towards a business goal or eating right or any one of those things, people make short-term commitments, they experience short-term pleasure, and then they find themselves going up and down. But when you expand that out and you say, again, if anything is worthwhile doing, I should be thinking about doing it for 10 years minimum. And when you look at it from that lens, you zoom out and you give yourself the flexibility and the freedom to realize that if you want something, you will best be setting yourself up for success if you make it a lifestyle pattern and habit. So let's get into tip number 2. Tip number 2 that goes right along with that is set standards for yourself that are fail-proof, that you can hit on a consistent basis along that journey. So you've set your time horizon for 10 years. It will take some time. You should really think about this because it is not a small commitment anymore. So the first or a question to ask here is, what do you want to be held accountable for? What do you want to achieve? Who do you really want to be? When you start thinking in 10-year timescales, that becomes very relevant. And once you get laser clear on that, then number 2 becomes valuable, and that is set fail-safe standards in the beginning. If you want to go out and make $1 million, you have 0 business experience and you want to move in a direction, or you could have multiple exits. But if you're doing something new, your brain will take time to adjust to it. Your lifestyle, your mind, all those things will take time to adjust to your goal. So along the journey, let's set, if you have make $1 million, let's start off with doing something consistently every day that moves you towards that goal. So for example, if you want to make $1 million, the first step is have something to sell. And the second step is go out and sell it. And with those 2 simple things, the question is, how do you get the people to sell to? And as part of that, you might be doing outreach strategies. So if your goal is to go make $1 million, you can break down the math and say, I'd have to sell 100 people. And how many outreaches does it take me to get that 100 people? And then you could divide that number and see exactly, maybe it's 1,000 outreaches. That would be a great ratio. Maybe 10,000 or even 20,000 outreaches that you have to do to find those 100 people. And from there, let's set to do 20 a day. It sounds like a little thing, but if you start and you get momentum, this is the key of this, is that if you get momentum at 20, then the next day you do 20, you're going to find yourself doing 22 simply because you realize that you're positively rewarding yourself. You're doing what you say you're going to do, and that creates positive momentum, which is such a core principle of success in anything, is that you feel really great about your progress towards a specific goal. And now, with those 2 in place, you're almost there. You're almost set up to be in the right direction and achieve those goals. The last thing is intentional use of the reward and punishment balance. So if we look at a specific action, it carries its own inherent reward and punishment for performance or non-performance. So if you find yourself struggling with repeating a behavior consistently, realize that the risk-reward ratio or the pain and reward, pain and pleasure cycle in your brain for that specific behavior is not fully in order and in the favor of doing the behavior consistently. So how can you utilize this for your benefit? Using reward and punishment by your own design. You have the ability to think and realize what's incredibly important to you, that if you do not do this behavior, you will give up that thing, or some challenge that is very hard that you will put yourself through if you do not perform the behavior enough times or consistently enough or at all when you're just getting started. And then on the positive side, you can set a reward for performing that action. Now, this is an external motivator, and it is important to have intrinsic motivation, but realize if you want to get started with something, you have to win that psychological war and that psychological battle that is your brain saying, I don't want to do this, or I'm not ready yet, or all those excuses that come up simply because we haven't made the positive strong enough or the negative strong enough so that we move towards that positive, and no way we want to go towards that negative and lose something important to us. So take those psychological principles. The first thing you're going to do is, what do you want to be held accountable for? Who are you setting out to be? And when you look at your life and you contrast your present actions and behaviors with that, then that's when you can begin to intentionally design a path towards that 10-year outcome, towards that 10-year change of self. Because the last thing you want is to look back at the last 10 years and say, wow, I really didn't get to where I wanted to go within this 10 years. And I thought I would be a lot further. What do you want to be able to say over the next 10 years, 10 years from now, today, you're looking back at this and you're saying, I drastically improved because I changed my time horizon. I committed to doing it for the long term. There may have been ups and downs along the way, but I wasn't trying to just do it for a week or a month or even a year. You're looking to do it for a lifestyle and a lifetime of positive experiences. Go ahead and execute that right away today, because it's not about what you consume or what you listen to. It's what you execute on and what you think about, which gets you to your goal. So I'll see you in the next video.